Welcome back to What's the 411 News, where we bring you news observation, interpretation, and news commentary from an FBA and BGR perspective. Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to What's the 411 News. And as you guys see on the screen, it looks like Joe Biden and his crew wants to get with the social media execs again to do like they did the last time on YouTube, Facebook. I don't think they did it on Twitter, but YouTube and Facebook mainly, maybe one or two other platforms. They're trying to suppress content creators again because they don't want you to put out information that they don't want you to put out. And it looks like they might be using the same guys again of misinformation, right? And we all know about the disinformation dozen. How they picked 12 people they thought were pretty popular on social media, and they got with I think Instagram also as well. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. They got with those execs and decided that they were going to remove the disinformation dozen because they didn't like what they were putting out in regards to the pandemic. All right. So here we go again. Looks like Biden and the crew is up to no good, man. So we're going to check this thing out real quick and see what the play is. All right. So let's check this out real fast here. All right, so again, the Biden administration asks appeals court to block the order that was limiting its contacts with social media. And there goes President Joe Biden walking backdrop of Marine One. All right, so file the Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra, I think that's how you pronounce it, testifies during the Senate Finance Committee hearing March 22nd, 2003 on Capitol Hill in Washington. On Tuesday, July 4th, 2023, a judge prohibited several federal agencies and officials of the Biden administration from working with social media companies about protected speech, all right? About protected speech. And again, this tells me, it should tell you that that's what they were doing before. When everybody was talking about the pandemic and people was a little bit sketchy about the jabs, you know what I'm saying, and what was going on with that. And then all of a sudden, you know, a year, 2 years out, a lot of stuff has been happening to a lot of people. And it's suspected that it was related to the jabs. But the Biden crew got with the execs prior to that, or as things were evolving, to suppress a lot of people's content, ours included, on other channels, my content on other channels as well. I think maybe on here too. But yeah, so they're out to suppress content and they looking towards doing it again. All right. So the order mentions by name several officials, including Becerra, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and many others. All right. The Biden administration asked a federal appeals court Monday to temporarily block a lower court's order limiting executive branch officials' discussions with social media companies about controversial online posts, all right? The request for emergency stay was filed at the 5th U.S. District Court of Appeals shortly after U.S. District Judge Terry Doughty rejected an administration motion that he put his own July 4 order on hold, all right? The order came in a lawsuit filed by Republican attorneys general in Louisiana and Missouri, as well as a conservative website owner and 4 individual critics of government COVID-19 policies. The lawsuit claimed the administration, in effect, censored free speech by using threats of regulatory action or protection while pressuring companies to remove what it deemed misinformation. COVID-19 vaccines, legal issues involving President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, and election fraud allegations were among the topics, spotlighted in the lawsuit. So I'm gonna read that again. All right, so you guys can marinate on that. The lawsuit claimed the administration, in effect, censored free speech by using threats of regulatory action or protection while pressuring companies to remove what it deemed misinformation, COVID-19 vaccines, legal issues involving President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, and election fraud allegations were among the topics spotlighted in the lawsuit. All right. Doty was nominated to the federal bench by former President Donald Trump. His injunction blocked the Department of Health and Human Services, the FBI, and multiple other government agencies and administration officials from meeting with or contacting social media companies for the purpose of encouraging, pressuring, or inducing in any manner the removal, deletion, suppression, or reduction of content containing protected free speech. Administration attorneys said in the motion filed at the Fifth Circuit that Dougherty's ruling was too broad and vague and had the potential to chill government officials' speech on important matters. And they said Dougherty failed to point to any evidence that the administration had made threats against social media companies to coerce then to take down posts. I'm going to read that one again. It says, and they said Doty failed to point to any evidence that the administration had made threats against social media companies to coerce them to take down posts. But yet, a lot of people's posts were taken down when they started speaking about the COVID-19 vaccines. People's posts was being removed. If they talked about anything regarding the pandemic, vaccines, anything related to that, they either shut your accounts down or they removed your stuff completely, right? But now they're trying to say that Doty didn't provide any evidence showing that. But if Doty started wanting to bring on a bunch of social media content creators and saying, hey, look, they did this, and point out all the content they put out, Biden gonna look a little bit funny, and his crew gonna look a little bit funny, right? So the district court identified no evidence suggesting that a threat accompanied any request for the removal of content. Indeed, the order denying the stay, presumably highlighting the ostensibly strongest evidence, referred to a series of public media statements, the administration said. They asked that the Fifth Circuit block Doty's order while the case is pursued at the appeals court in New Orleans, or at minimum grant a 10-day block of the order so the administration could prepare to go to the Supreme Court to seek a longer stay. Earlier Monday, Doty rejected administration requests that he stay his own order pending appeal. In essence, Doty's Monday order said defendants argued that the injunction should be stayed because it might interfere with the government's ability to continue working with social media companies to censor Americans' core political speech on the basis of viewpoint. In other words, the government seeks a stay of the injunction so that it can continue violating the First Amendment. Imagine that. Not the Democrats violating the First Amendment. Imagine that. So the government lawyers have argued that the companies control their own policies regarding misinformation and that the lawsuit casts officials' comments on issues and policy as threat. The administration said Doty's July 4th order was unclear about who in the executive branch it covers and what they can or cannot say about important topics discussed on social media platforms. The order could cause grave harm by preventing the government from engaging in a vast range of lawful and responsible conduct, government lawyers said in requesting the stay Thursday night. Doty said the administration seems to have assumed a role similar to the Orwellian Ministry of Truth. The order, which was to remain in effect pending further arguments in Doty's court, was hailed by conservatives as a victory for free speech and a blow to censorship. But critics said the order and accompanying reasons, covering more than 160 pages, were broad, unclear, and could chill government efforts to fight misinformation on important topics. Yeah, important topics, meaning basically they don't want you to say things that go counter to what they're going to put out in the public or what they want to put out in the public for the masses of people. They want them to thinking or going a certain direction, and they don't want content creators showing alternatives to what they're doing. Because, like people saying, it seems like it's an agenda going on. That's what it boils down to, right? So the criticisms were echoed in the government's Thursday night request for a stay. The potential breadth of the entities and employees covered by the injunction, combined with injunction sweeping substantive scope, will chill a wide range of lawful government conduct relating to defendants' law enforcement responsibilities, obligations to protect the national security, and prerogative to speak on matters of public concern, the government's motion said. The lawsuit's plaintiff countered with a weekend filing opposite a stay. Among the arguments are that the July 4th injunction carves out exemptions allowing officials to contact social media companies about postings involving criminal activity or public safety threats, national security threats, election-related issues, including voter suppression attempts, voting infrastructure threats, and illegal campaign contributions, and saying officials can continue exercising, quote, exercising permissible public government speech, promoting government policies or views on matters of public concern. All right, so there you have it on that. What it boils down to, again, like I said, it looks like it's going to be another play to try to suppress content creators such as yourself, such as myself, if we put out alternative information. And because, like you all guys know, there's elections coming up next year. So things are going to start ramping up and starting now, starting today until the election, you're going to see a lot of ads, a lot of campaigns. People are going to be going from one place to another, giving their speeches, telling about what they're going to do. You're going to see the campaigns and the debates and all that eventually. And you're going to have individual content creators are going to come out, get on their lives and talk about what they're seeing, what they're not seeing. And that's what they don't want. They don't want you to come out and basically give the real, although there's going to be some people going to give you some nonsense. As always, there's always got to be one side and the other. It's not just going to be flat down one side. So that's what the whole play is, man. They're just going to try to suppress. Once again, like I mentioned, with the vaccines and the COVID-19, they got the disinformation dozen, which was several doctors, scientists, and a couple of independent people. Rizza Islam was one of them, and another black gentleman, I forget who it was. And they basically took all their content. Robert Malone, I think, was part of that. Took all their content. Even on Twitter, I think they shut down Robert Malone's. They shut down Rizza Islam. I know Facebook, Instagram, YouTube was pretty much doing the same thing. And then anybody else that just tagged along and was putting out their content about it, they might have found out some information and was putting it out. They shut down their content as well. Again, like I said, some of my content was shut down on another channel, and or they removed it or they deleted the video completely. So YouTube, my understanding, there's an Indian CEO now. The Susan lady, I think, has retired, not resigned. I think she just retired and left. And my understanding, there's a new CEO in YouTube, which is some guy from India. So if you're listening, you might want to put everybody's content back up, because you're violating the First Amendment. All right. Otherwise, you'd probably be seeing class action lawsuits down the road. And then if it involves, because the Biden administration is claiming there's no proof that they was getting with the social media execs and the companies to suppress content information, but yet people were saying their videos were getting removed, so that's evidence. So if this Doherty guy ends up pulling that information and says, well, here's the evidence, why are these people content pulled down, deleted, shut down channels, I don't think they're gonna have too much they can really fire back with. All right, so you guys let me know what you think, man. Put it in the comments, and just be aware that they're trying to run that play again on people's content. I don't know, I get the feeling, and I could be wrong because you can't really go by feelings, but for some reason I just think they're not going to really get too far in shutting people's stuff down this time, because people know what was going on the last time when the pandemic occurred. All right, again, so y'all guys check it out, and let me know what you think, man. This is What's the 411 News, and I'm out of here. Peace. Welcome back to What's the 411 News, where we bring you news observation, interpretation, and news commentary from an FBA and BGR perspective. Let's get it.